Good morning. Welcome to the live in-person and live Zoom worship service of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Riverside. Our opening hymn this morning is number 298, Wake Now My Senses, from the Gray Hymnal. Feel free to sing as the Spirit moves you. Please stand in body or spirit and join us in singing hymn number 298, Wake Now My Senses.
Wake now my senses and hear the earth call. Feel the deep power of being in awe. Keep with the web of creation your vow, giving, receiving as love shows us how. Wake now my reason, reach out to the new. Join with each pilgrim who quests for the true. Honor the beauty and wisdom of time. Suffer thy limit and praise the sublime. Wake now compassion, give heed to the cry. Voices of suffering fill the wide sky. Take as your neighbor both stranger and friend, praying and striving their hardship to end. Wake now my conscience, with justice thy guide. Join with all people whose rights are denied. Take not for granted a privileged place. God's love embraces the whole human race. Wake now my vision of ministry clear. Brighten my pathway with radiance here. Mingle my calling with all who will share. Work toward a planet transformed by our care.
Thank you for joining us here in person, and thank you for joining us remotely by Zoom, where we will continue live streaming and posting these services on our YouTube channel for our virtual attendees. I'm Ren Mansour, a member of the Worship Committee, and I will be your worship associate today. Other members of the Worship Committee who make this service possible include Alec Peck, our music coordinator, Adam Wedeking, who is monitoring our visual and online connections, and Kate Lewicki, who is in charge of our sound system. We welcome you to join us this morning with an open mind and an open heart, and with muted electronic devices, please. We invite you to leave your worries and defenses at the door and trust that what happens in worship is inspiring and powerful. Together, we affirm that this day and our being together can make each of us braver, more compassionate, and wiser as we begin a new day and a new week. Before we move into the service, there are a few announcements we would like to share. We will mention several websites, email addresses, and phone numbers. At the end of the service, we will leave up a slide with all this information, and it is available on our website. Sharing joys and concerns is one of the important rituals in our community, an opportunity to share milestones, losses, achievements, and experiences with one another. On the first Sunday of each month, we can both hear from those in the sanctuary and read the contributions we have received. In front of the pulpit, there's a book where you can write your joys and concerns whenever you are here in the sanctuary. For those of you at home, you can send your joys and concerns throughout the month to uuchurchofriverside@gmail.com. Our next J&C will be on November 5th. Bake sale. Dinah Rowe is hosting a bake sale after the service today and next Sunday. Enjoy homemade treats and support the church. Oktoberfest. Kate and Robert will be cooking up a storm again this year. Our luncheon series will begin next Saturday, October 21st at 1:30 with an Oktoberfest meal. Please join us for good food and fellowship. Tickets can only be purchased in advance. Suggested donation is $25. Children 6 to 12 is $12. Those 5 and under are free. Yard sale. Our upcoming yard sale will be held on Friday and Saturday, November 3rd and 4th. This annual event is a fundraiser that helps us continue our services and the upkeep of our church. Setup will be on Thursday, November 2nd. It will be held Friday and Saturday, November 3rd and 4th in the lawn area from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. See Linda or Kate to sign up to help. The Social and Environmental Justice Committee meeting is today in the annex at 11:30 a.m. You can find the Zoom link and more information on our website under Social and Environmental Justice. And now I invite you to sit back and take a slow, deep breath as we move into the worship hour. You are welcome to read with me the mission statement of our church. Our mission is to foster a diverse religious community that celebrates life, affirms the individual, encourages spiritual growth and open thought, and works to advance social justice and environmental sustainability. Our speaker today is UUCR member Alec Peck. Alec Peck has been a practicing UU for 25 years, raised in a UU church chosen by his father, raised Quaker, and mother, raised Jewish, though both humanist in practice. Alec studied natural science at Creighton University, a Jesuit institution, and is now completing his PhD at UC Riverside while serving as chair of the worship committee and secretary of the board of trustees here at UUCR. We strive to build a world community of peace, love, and justice, where we each can grow into who we want to be and follow our dreams. Yet we are only as rich as the poorest of the poor, and this is a country which has built itself on leaving people behind. Let us all be part of a beloved community where we all have the right and power to fulfill our destiny. Let us give our hands and hearts to those that need our help. In a world troubled by people who have to hate, let us always sing the cry of love. We have 2 lightings of sacred flames. The first is the occupied Indigenous peoples' remembrance candle. The second is the lighting of our own chalice, the symbol of our faith. We walk upon the traditional territories of diverse and sovereign peoples, the original people of this land, who continue to cry out for justice and self-determination. This spot we occupy was first the sacred space of several groups of Indigenous peoples, including the Cahuilla, the Copeño, and the Serrano. We, the Universalist Unitarian Church of Riverside, light this sacred flame as the stewards of this sacred and holy place. We are blessed with a space and opportunity to strive to live out our common principles, to bring justice, equity, and compassion into our daily lives, to resist all that threatens the earth and her people, and to be part of a world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. Let these thoughts carry us forth as we journey and worship together. Today's reading for the chalice lighting is Honoring Our Common Connection and Our Uniqueness by Adam Slate. We gather this morning as one community, a community united by common ideals: love, justice, diversity, freedom, mutual care, equity. Yet look around. Look at the faces of those around you. Each face represents an individual. Every one of us with our own story, needs, strengths, and faults. We light our chalice today, honoring our common connection and also the uniqueness that lives within each of us.
Abraham prays. Those who someday be completed.
We have a tradition here at UUCR to welcome those who are visitors or perhaps returning after some time away. We know it can be uncomfortable to stand up and speak in front of others. So I will now ask for a volunteer from someone who has been here a while to tell us your name and how you found out about our church. We ask you to step close to the mic and speak directly into it and clearly so everyone can hear. However, be aware that you will be visible on our Zoom camera and in the recording of this service, which is posted online. Do we have any church members who would like to volunteer? Come on up, Bill.
My name is Bill Rowe. We were sitting around the sun deck one day and talking 4 or 5 of us, and subject of religion come up, and I said, well, I'm a Unitarian, and one of the other guys said, well, I am too. I said, oh, great. Where's the Unitarian church around here? And he said in Riverside. So that's how I found this church. I've been here ever since 2004.
Thank you, Bill. And that's how it's done. If you are new here, a visitor or an old friend, please raise your hand and stand and come up to the mic in front of the pulpit. If there is someone online who would like to introduce themselves, please raise your hand and we will call on you by Zoom. Please let us know who you are, where you are from, and how you found out about us. Adam, is there anyone online? All right. For any other new guests, please join us for socializing and coffee hour after the service. We'd love to chat with you out in the parish hall, where you can also find our visitors book. Please leave your name before you leave so that we know you were here. And leave your contact information if you want to know about upcoming events. For those online, the best way to get added to the mailing list is to email the church office at admin@uuchurchofriverside.org. Our hymn now is number 123, Spirit of Life, from the Gray Hymnal. Please feel free to sing as the Spirit moves you. Please stand in body or spirit and join us in singing number 123, Spirit of Life. SOS, or Sharing Our Spirit, is a program to help families in need during the holiday season. All of the income from this fundraiser goes into our designated SOS fund. Our goal this year is $2,500. This year's Sharing Our Spirit fundraising is being held from October 15th, today, and will end on November 26th. Collections will be on the 3rd and 5th Sundays in October and the 2nd and 4th Sundays in November. Contact our office or our administrator, Robert Brown, for more information. Please mark all donations to this fund as SOS. You may write this on the subject line of your check or place cash contributions in the specially marked envelopes in the pews and place them in your offertory plates. If you would like to help us reach more families this holiday season, UUCR will graciously accept monetary contributions and donations of new or gently used toys, clothing, packages of new underclothes, socks, blankets, toiletries, etc. All monetary donations and donated items are tax deductible. Thank you for your support. This portion of our service is to support our beloved historical church. This can be accomplished several ways. In addition to the weekly collection, you may send your checks to the church address, which is shown here. You may contribute by PayPal using the QR code, which is shown here, as well as on the church website and in the newsletter. Stater Brothers Market gives our church a rebate on Stater grocery cards, which we have in church each Sunday. Amazon gift cards are also available. You get the full value, and the church also receives a percentage for free. Please see Dinah Rowe or Robert Brown in the church office if you are interested in purchasing the gift cards. Please donate as the Spirit moves you by whatever method works best for you. Thank you for your generosity. And to those who give of their time and their talent, thank you for your generous care and attention. To all of you who have joined us today, thank you for the gift of your presence. Will our ushers now please come forward to receive the collection? Our next hymn is number 402, From You I Receive, from the Gray Hymnal. Feel free to sing as the Spirit moves you, and stand in body or spirit, and join us in singing hymn number 402, From You I Receive.
From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, from this we live. From you I receive.
Our meditation today is The Egg by Andy Weir, read by Alec.
Thank you, Ren. You were on your way home when you died. It was a car accident. Nothing particularly remarkable, but fatal nonetheless. Your wife you left behind and 2 children. It was a painless death, and the EMTs tried their best to save you, but to no avail. And that was when you met me. What happened, you asked? Where am I? You died, I said, matter-of-factly. No point in mincing words. There was a truck, and it was skidding. Yep, I said. I died? Yeah, but don't feel bad about it. Everybody dies, I said. You look around, and there was nothingness. Just you and me. What is this place, you asked? Is this the afterlife? More or less, I said. Are you God, you asked? Yep, I replied. I'm God. My kids, my wife, you said. What about them? Will they be all right? That's what I like to see, I said. You just died, and your main concern is for your family. That's good stuff right there. You looked at me with fascination. To me, or to you, I didn't look like a god. I just looked like some man, or possibly a woman, some vague authority figure, maybe. More of a grammar school teacher than the Almighty. Don't worry, I said. They'll be fine. Your kids will remember you as perfect in every way. They didn't have time to grow contempt for you. Your wife will cry on the outside, but will be secretly relieved. To be fair, your marriage was falling apart. If it's any consolation, she'll feel guilty for feeling relieved. Oh, you said. So what happens now? Do I go to heaven or hell or something? Neither, I said. You'll be reincarnated. Ah, you said. So the Hindus were right. All religions were right in their own way, I said. Walk with me. You followed along as we strode through the void. Where are we going? Nowhere in particular, I said. It's just nice to walk while we talk. So what's the point then, you asked? When I get reborn, I'll just be a blank slate, right? Like a baby. So all my experiences and everything I did in my life, it won't matter. Oh, not so, I said. You have within you all the knowledge and experiences of all of your past lives. You just don't remember them right now. I stopped walking, and I took you by the shoulders. Your soul is more magnificent, beautiful, and gigantic than you can possibly imagine. A human mind can only contain a tiny fraction of what you are. It's like sticking your finger in a glass of water to see if it's hot or cold. You put a tiny part of yourself into the vessel, and when you bring it back out, you've gained some of the experience it had. Now, you've been a human for the last 48 years, and so you haven't stretched out yet and felt the rest of your immense consciousness. But if we hung out here long enough, then you would start to remember everything. But there's no point in doing that between each life. How many times have I been reincarnated then? Oh, lots. Lots and lots. And into lots of different lives, I said. This time around, you'll be a Chinese peasant girl in 540 AD. Wait, what? You stammered? You're sending me back in time? Well, technically, I guess. Time as you know it only exists in your universe. Things are different where I come from. Where you come from, you said. Oh, sure, I explained. I come from somewhere else, and there are others like me. And you'll want to know what it's like there, but honestly, you wouldn't understand. Oh, you said, a little let down. But wait, if I get reincarnated into another time and place, could I have interacted with myself at some point? Oh, sure, it happens all the time. And with both lives completely unaware and only aware of their own lifespan, you'd never even know it was happening. So then what is the point of it all? Seriously, I asked. Seriously, you're going to ask me for the meaning of life. Isn't that a little stereotypical? Well, it's a reasonable question, you persisted. I looked you in the eye. The meaning of life, the reason I made this whole universe, is for you to mature. You mean mankind. You want us to mature. No, just you. I made this whole universe for you. With each new life, you will grow and mature and become a larger and greater intellect. Well, just me. What about everybody else? There is no everyone else, I said. In this universe, there is just you and me. You stare blankly at me. But all the people on Earth, all you, different incarnations of you. Wait, I'm everyone. Now you're getting it, I said with a congratulatory slap on the back. I'm every human being who ever lived or ever will live, yes. I'm Abraham Lincoln, and you're John Wilkes Booth too, I added. I'm Hitler, you said, appalled, and you're the millions he killed. I'm Jesus, and you're everyone who followed him. You fell silent. Every time you victimized someone, I said, you were victimizing yourself. Every act of kindness you've ever done, you've done to yourself. Every happy and sad moment ever experienced by any human was or will be experienced by you. You thought for a long time. Why, you asked? Why do all this? Because someday you will be like me. Because that is what you are. You're one of my kind. You're my child. Whoa, you said incredulously. You mean I am a god? No, not yet. You're a fetus. You're still growing. Once you've lived every human life throughout all time, you will have grown enough to be born. So this whole universe, you said, it's just an egg, I answered. And now it's time for you to move on to your next life. And I sent you on your way. Let us now pause for a moment of silence and reflection. Yeah.
Now, I would like to introduce Alec Peck, speaking to us on radical love. We are in this together.
Thank you again, Ren. That's the second time I've read that story in a UU church, so clearly there's something I like about it. But what if it were true? Would you react differently when you see a stranger? When you wonder why, would you wonder why they're so eager to pick a fight when you see someone who you maybe disagree with? What if there is no them and there is only us? Right now, US politicians are trying desperately to determine who are the good guys and the bad guys in the Israel-Palestine conflict. Woke is the new politically correct, a buzzword which is meant to remind you that liberals and conservatives have different ideas about how to run things sometimes. And the things that liberals do, which are woke or PC, as far as I can tell, essentially means to care about something that doesn't affect you personally. And I think all people want to be fulfilled. We want, on a personal level, to be who we are. We want to be fulfilled communally with what we do for each other, both internally and externally. And that is joy. When your soul feels the way your stomach feels after a fine dinner and your favorite dessert. when we discover where we belong and what in us is true. We humans, we are social creatures. We often talk about finding a job that fulfills us. And what we mean is that we want to be joyful in our role in society. We want to be proud of what we do, of what we make, and of what we leave behind. We were here. Each of us is part of that great human cry, and yet every voice is unique. Perhaps I like to sing and play frisbee, and you like to read fantasy novels, build birdhouses. Or perhaps I like to wear dresses, and you like to arm wrestle. It seems like it shouldn't matter what body I was born into. I should be able to pursue my dream, any dream that I can imagine. And we may never reach our individual, personal, full potential. Maybe our total full potential can never really be reached in just one lifespan. There will always be a question of what if. What if I had done things a little bit differently? But the great beauty of being a part of humanity is to explore all of the ways that we can live, every way that a human being can experience this earth. And it is truly a tragedy when we do not get to achieve our dreams. And sometimes we don't even get to follow them. And truly, it is a real tragedy if that is because we stopped ourselves. To become who we want to be is a core of the American dream. But as Phil Oakes said in his great song, we are only as rich as the poorest of the poor. Our dream here, at least in this church, is one of justice and equity for all people, because I cannot have fairness until we all have fairness. We cannot take for granted a privileged place, because I do see why I should care about something that doesn't affect me personally. And I don't want to make a mistake here. Things are much better now than they were before, not just here in the US, but I would even say in Israel and Palestine. And part of the reason why we see, part of the reason I wanted to do this service today is because I've been seeing a lot of very hateful comments from certain right-wing news websites. And the reason that they're spewing all this vitriol and hatred from these conservative viewpoints is, I think, because they're desperate, because they know that they're losing this culture war, and they've been losing for years. But I think that even today, we still have to show our support for those who are less fortunate than us. Obviously, we should stop handing out harsher prison sentences for Black people compared to white people. And to be clear, that is still going on in America. When I can hear stories from an Atlanta public defender who back-to-back cases, same defender, same prosecutor, same judge, the only difference is between a white man and a Black man, whether they get a slap on the wrist or prison time. There's clearly work to be done there. And obviously, we should stop violence against trans and gay people. But to be clear, there is still work to be done there. Maybe some hate crimes aren't labeled as much due to genuine ignorance on the part of the police. But maybe sometimes it's because people on the right know that gay bashing doesn't fly in 2023. And obviously, we should stop homelessness. But I think that last week, Bill perhaps accidentally summed up mainstream politics very well. The conservatives say, screw them, it's their fault, so why should we help them? And the liberals will say, oh, well, it's not their fault, but we still can't help them. I mean, how are you supposed to compensate all those landlords who deserve to own those houses? But I think there is another option: love. I think love says that you should give them those empty houses, because a world where you get one more lifetime in a house, but also one more lifetime where you don't get a second empty house, is a better and more just world for us to be in. Love says that you deserve to grow your spirit under the best possible conditions. And it's not just big issues like widespread violence. I think love is also about the small things. It's about bathroom access. It's about the right to sports. Do I have the right to pick up my prescription at the store without the person at the counter deciding if I deserve my medication? Well, maybe it's not my right, but I certainly can. That's certainly not something I've ever been concerned about my ability to do. And yet that is the reality that some people in America face. Right now, conservatives have published plans on medical restrictions for trans people, for pregnant women, for anyone that's living the way that they don't like. And the liberal response has been, well, we shouldn't really be fighting for such a small group of people, should we? But the union, my union that I joined here as a member of the University of California, our union supports the right to equal rights to bathroom access for trans individuals. And why? Why does the labor union support that? It's because they know that when we can all work together, literally in this case, we are stronger together. And what about sports? What is it that makes a sports competition fair? And why have I been hearing about these news stories all of a sudden now? And Adam, actually, I've got an extra slide hidden in here. So if I could ask you to show the next slide here. I would like to ask you as well, what is fair in these cases? So on the left, here is an image of the wrestler Mac Biggs, who's from Texas. Mac here identifies as trans, and here they are putting a cis woman in what I think is a decent looking chokehold. Now, is this a fair competition? Well, certainly conservatives would be up in arms about a trans person taking their place in this competition. But I think the twist you'll find is that Mac here identifies as a man and would prefer actually to be participating in the men's division. As a quote from the Chicago Tribune, although Beggs, whose given name is Mackenzie, has stated a preference for competing in the boys division, the UIL requires athletes to compete against the gender that is listed on their birth certificate. And for that reason, Beggs has gone 36-0 this year, wrestling in the 110-pound class. And of course, on the right, we have Patricio Manuel, who, as of 3 months ago, has a 3-0 boxing record in men's boxing. Would it be fair to put this person in the women's category because that is the gender that they were assigned at birth? Would you have looked at this person and guessed that this was a trans man? Earlier this year, the WBC was considering separate leagues for transgender athletes. In response to that, Manuel said, quote, "It is heartbreaking to me to have the WBC, a leader in my sport, argue that I don't have a place in the ring as a man," he said via statement in the aftermath. Given the WBC's stated values of sportsmanship, diversity, and respect via their philanthropic arm, WBC Cares, I trust the intended new policy was made with the best intentions to be inclusive of transgender boxers. And yet, in reality, the WBC is inherently dehumanizing transgender people by implying that trans men aren't men and trans women aren't women. This rhetoric flies in the face of both existing policies at the highest level of governing bodies in the world of sports and my own lived experience. And that's because gender divides really aren't made in the idea of fairness. They cling to gender divides because they think that gender and perhaps some other predestined demographics inherently determine an individual's ability. And when you agree that a gender split is fair, you're agreeing that gender determines individual ability. Adam, you can go ahead to the next slide, please. Thanks. Singular they can be found used in the Bible, in the King James Version of the Bible. It can be found in the Canterbury Tales, one of the oldest pieces of literature that can be considered English. And yet it was only recently that conservatives were up in arms about the use of the pronoun they, only when gender nonconforming people wanted to use it as their own identity. And perhaps if we are going to talk about fairness, we could talk about testosterone levels and the different body types. But so long as we define our categories in sports by gender, there will be unfairness. A liberal might look at that and shrug and say, oh, well, it's not those athletes' fault, but oh, well, what are we going to do about it? We shouldn't have, and they say that we shouldn't have to make changes for those people as long as most people are getting along just fine. Seems like perhaps just a little bit of a fallacy to say, oh, well, if it's not for the greater good, if it only benefits a minority of people, well, then it must be bad for everybody else. But after all, the more rights we give to you, the less that I have for myself, right? But I think love says something else. What is more important? Which lives would you rather live in? And so what if it only benefits a few people? Don't be distracted by arguments about grammar and sports trophies, because love is about what is more important. Love says that when you benefit, I benefit. And let's talk about percentages of the population. According to a recent Gallup poll, people not identifying as straight has shockingly risen up to 7.1%. In America, that's 18.5 million people. For the record, how many veterans are there in the US? 16 million. How many people in the US identify as non-binary or trans? That's about 1%. That's 2.6 million people. The population of Idaho, 1.9 million people. How about people who chose to live a farming lifestyle? 3.4 million. Pretty similar percentage. And given how much of a higher percentage of the younger generations identify as queer of some type, I'd say that these numbers are probably an underestimate. And yet, for some reason, we don't wonder if we should have a holiday for veterans or laws to protect the interest of Idaho farmers. Love means that your dreams and your life matter, even if there is only 1 million of you, even if there's only 1,000 of you, even if there's only a single person like you still matter. What percentage of the population are you? I did not need to earn the right to be a man, and you don't either. You and I, we have the freedom to follow every path that's open to us. You are worthy of compassion. You are most beautiful when you become who you want to be. And here in this church, we will make a place for you, even if it's a place we did not have before, where you get to be yourself, and we accept your spiritual journey as part of ours. We accept your part of the way as the way, because your problems are my problems, and your successes are my successes. Amen. Namaste. Blessed be.
Our closing hymn is number 108, My Life Flows On in Endless Song, from the Gray Hymnal. Feel free to sing as the Spirit moves you. Please stand in body or spirit and join us in singing hymn number 108, My Life Flows On in Endless Song.
singing. When tyrants tremble as they hear the bells of freedom ringing, when friends rejoice both near and far, how can I keep from singing? To prison cell and dungeon vile, our thoughts to them are winging. When funds by shame are undefiled, how can I keep from singing?
We call for this blessing on all sheltered here, whether in body or spirit. May the flame of our community ignite a love bold enough to share, and in return, may we all be embraced by a love that remains constant in times of sorrow and in days of great gladness. Namaste, amen, and blessed be. Thank you, Alec, for sharing your valuable time and insights with us this morning. For those of you who would like to stay in the sanctuary for 10 to 15 minutes to share some discussion or observations from the service, please remain in the sanctuary or online. Please be aware that these comments will be posted online. For the rest of you, you are now welcome to adjourn into the parish hall. Would anyone like to come up and share their thoughts? Is there anyone online who would like to share anything with us? Come on up, Walt.
During the Vietnam War, people outside of the United States mentioned that we in the U.S. have a special position and an obligation. They said, you live in the middle of the most powerful country on earth, and the power that it wields, you have the responsibility to control it because we cannot. I urge you to consider that always. Thank you.
Thank you, Walt. Bill?
Always dangerous when you get a hold of a quote that you make yourself and you decide, I'm going to quote myself. That sounds really good. I, of course, am going to do just that thing. We talked about radical love today. And one of the biggest things that we'd all like to do would be to fight the clock. Essentially, we have the horror that's going on in the Mideast right now. And if you're older like we are, I can remember when my hair was brown, darn it, not dark gray, and it had red highlights, and it was a good beard, darn it, it was a good beard. Actually, it was a beard that would not stop day or night. I had to shave or hold dual citizenship as a werewolf. But the thing is that the clock and the camera are tyrants. We speak of radical love. I don't want to get into tons of what's going on in the Mideast, but there is this whole idea that says, with the clock ticking, with the camera focused on an area, we see the monstrosity that was done. And it's pretty god awful. But if you take a look as to where all those little settlements have dug holes in someone else. Someone is playing the long game so that they can wind up holding more land, be considered the central figure, and just slowly pushing the other source out and away. One of the things we do with this radical look at time, radical love, is to take a look at the clock. Now, I've been uncommonly irritated because there have been powers in government who said, no, I want you to stare at this problem over here, and I want you to solve it before you solve mine. So I'm not sure I've got a complete answer for how everything is done. But I find it ironic that as I enter, shall we say, the second half of my span on this planet, to say that we need to figure out when and where to apply time to our concepts of love. Because there are times it's irritating as heck and I don't agree with it. And there are times when I think it has to be looked at if we're going to be ethical at all. And so that radical look we're looking at, that is a full plate. And I wish us all the best.
Thank you, Bill. Is there anyone else who would like to share their comments? All right. If there are no further comments, then thank you, everyone, for sharing your thoughts. And now please join us in the parish hall for further fellowship.